Hello and welcome back to Steam It with Steve. Today we're going to unpackage a new data structure called dictionaries. Now, dictionaries allow you to do some really interesting, fun stuff in Python, and they're a little bit more complex than how a list looks. So let's jump on in. So the way a dictionary works is basically you have a set of keys and values, and these keys have to be unique. Now, what happens with them is you can use the key to look up different values and allows you to store more complex sort of data behind the scenes. It also allows you to search for values a lot quicker than lists because you'll be able to use the key to reference what needs to be accessed. And Python has a lot of stuff inbuilt into it to make it go really, really quick. So to unpackage this a little bit further, we're going to understand the purpose and the structure of these Python dictionaries. We're then going to learn how to create, access, and modify a dictionary in Python. We're then going to explore common dictionary methods and dictionary iterations, so then you can go through these dictionaries and do some cool stuff, and then apply knowledge to solve real world problems. So dictionaries are really important, particularly for fields like AI or machine learning. And yeah, let's have a look. So also on the right here, you'll see a really rough dictionary. And what happens is if you use curly brackets to signify that it's a dictionary, and then the key value pairs that you see there are separated between little colons. Cool. So some previous knowledge, when we deal with lists, we should remember that they're all in order, and we use square brackets to try and connect them. So a list looks like this, with square brackets and then commas separating each individual value. Dictionaries have some similarities, but there's also some differences that we shall see. So in the real world, the way a dictionary sort of works is you look up a particular word, and then you can find the meaning or a whole heap of more data that's attached to that key. And that's very similar to the way that a dictionary works. So a dictionary in Python will have a key with a small value, and then you can access a lot more data that's attached to that, depending on how you structure it. A key works the same as the key in a map. So basically, on the right here, you can see the key giving the different descriptions of things on the map, and then you can use that key to come and reference the more complex sort of data. So key value pairings in Python, it's really, really simple. Basically, the left-hand side is the key. So that's what you're going to be looking up, and then you'll use a colon, and then on the right-hand side, you have a value. So keys are used to look up the different values, and then values are stored inside the dictionary. So that's where the more complex stuff gets stored. They're joined together with a colon. The keys are always on the left, and then the values are always on the right. When you have these inside of a dictionary, which is inside the curly brackets, you'll separate each one by a comma. So for a Python dictionary, it looks something like this. So I've had a new dictionary, which I've called dict, is equal to curly brackets a colon b, comma b colon 8, comma c colon 2. So then you have all those different values that you can go through there. So a dictionary is like a map, and it holds these values, pairs of keys and values. Uses curly brackets instead of the square brackets which we use to lists, and each entry has a key and a value joined by a semicolon. Each one is then separated by a comma, and then keys and values can be a mixture of integers, floats, strings, or you can also put dictionaries or lists into that, which is where there's sort of neat stuff that happens. So when you hear the word an item is a pair of a single key and a value. So this is actually an item. So once you've got one of these, you can use that as an item. So that's an important term. So there's three terms you should know by now. So a key, a value, and then an item. So key is the thing that's looked up. The value is the actual data that you're interested in. And then the item is those two paired together. So first example, we're going to build an empty dictionary. It's going to be really, really hard. It's as simple as that. You literally go dict equals, and then curly bracket, and then that will store an empty dictionary with nothing inside of it, which is much like an empty list, which is what we've done before. So a little bit more complex, we're going to make a fruit dictionary, and the way this looks is like this. So this is a pretty simple one that stores how many fruits are stored within a store potentially. So we go fruit equals curly bracket apples colon 2, bananas colon 8, oranges colon 5. Now it's really important that the words apples, bananas, and oranges have the quotation marks, simply because it needs to know that it's a string. Okay, and then yeah, that's pretty much it. Your challenge now, pause the video, see if you can do a dictionary called me and save your name, your age, and then your star sign. Pause the video and see how you go. Awesome, welcome back. So this is how simple it is. You literally go me equals curly brackets, name, colon Steve, comma, age, colon 28, comma, star sign, and then a Leo. Notice that it uses different data types as well. So on the left-hand side, we've got all the same with strings, but then on the right-hand side, we've got a mixture of integers and strings. So to access items, it's pretty easy. Basically, when we want to access different values, we just use square brackets, and then it looks up the value based off the key. So the key that you use will look it up. So if I wanted to look up what B was, it's really simple. You use dict equal square brackets and then B, and then off it goes. So it will literally then return an 8, which is pretty cool. So for the following thing, I want you to have a look at this dictionary that I've made for a zoo with all the different animals that are inside of it as a quantity. And then now go through and try and work out these questions. So just pause the video and think, what would the value outputs be for each one of those? Awesome. So what you should have worked out there with the zoo lions should have given you back a 5. Bears would have given, oh, sorry, that should be a 3. That's my bad. And then zoo monkeys actually gives you an error because it's not using the same correct text. So see how it's got a lowercase m, the uppercase M. Then if we go unicorns, that also will give you an error. So there's a small error there. Sorry, the bears should have been 3. Modifying elements. So to modify an element or add a new item, use the dictionary with a desired key. So then make it equal to a new data value. So for example, if we want to override the line or add a new line in, you literally go zoo line is equal to 12, and then that will set the key line to have the value of 12. Similarly, if we want to change unicorn or set unicorn, we can then create a new zoo item for unicorn and set that equal to 1. So some methods, there's a whole heap inside of dictionaries, much like what we've done in Turtle, strings, all those different things. And these are the main ones that you need to know. So dict keys returns a new object displaying a list of all the keys in a dictionary. So that's a way of swapping the dictionary into a list, and same with values. And then with items, it returns a new object that displays a list of all the key values. So the pairings between the two. Dict.key, get key, returns the value of the key if it exists inside the dictionary. So checks to see whether or not it's there. Dict.update updates a dictionary's key value pairs to an existing dictionary. And then you can also delete, which will then remove a key from a dictionary, which then obviously gets rid of the value as well. So those are some of the things that you can play around with. We'll sort of lean into this now. So to iterate through a dictionary is really useful. So for example, with the zoo, you might want to go through every single item inside the zoo and then work out how many animals are there altogether. So this means going through each element in the dictionary one by one. So dictionaries, remember the key and values, and we can iterate through the items based off the keys, the values, or we can also do it by the items, which is kind of cool. So you can actually return how many keys there were, the values, or also the pairing between the two, which is where a loop gets a little bit different when we use items. So iterate through a dictionary to find the total. So if we had a car little company with a sedan, SUV, and a convertible, and we wanted to work out how many there were in total, we're going to use a little bit different of a for loop. And this is where it gets kind of cool. Instead of having just one variable, we can get the for loop to pull out 2 variables from the items. And the way this works is as simple as this. You'll go for, and then the 2 different things, so the model and then the count. And then this is where the dictionary function works. So in cars.items, so then that returns the model and count for each different entry inside the dictionary. Then after that, we can actually use the thing called an F string, which is what this bit down here does. So F, print F, quotation mark, there are. And by using curly brackets and putting the variable names in, you can then give out the output that needs to happen. There also needs to be a bracket on the end there. So just to show you how this works in idle, let's do that. So if I open up idle, and I'm going to make the car dictionary first. So cars equals a sedan, and there's 20 of those sedans, comma, enter, and then there's an SUV, and we've got 80 of those, comma, and then we've got a convertible, and we've got 50 of those. Cool, so the dictionary is now stored. So if I go cars, and I want to look up sedan, bam, there's 20. If I want to go cars for items, it then builds back a list of all those different pairs together. And then also do cars.keys or cars.values. And it builds those different lists that you can sort of play around with. Now, I personally like when I work with dictionary to use the items one because it gives me a bit more flexibility. And the way that you can iterate through that, like what we just saw, is if you go for model count in cars.items, snaky bite, that's going to iterate and pull out those pairs out of the dictionary, which is really, really useful. So now if I go print, and then I use an F string, which means formatting the string, there are curly bracket, count, space, count, model, stock. And total plus equal count. Oh, that's not going to work, is it? Steal that. We'll go total is equal to 0. Then paste that in. And then total equal to count. Cool. Then, if we want, what we can do is then do an output at the end. So print. Force it to go on a new line. That's what the escape character there means. The total number of cars in stock is pretty cool. So there's a whole heap of stuff that you can sort of play with this. So your challenge now is to create a dictionary called Bookshelf that has 300 fictional books, 200 non-fiction books, and then 150 mystery books, and then iterate through them all and count the number of books. So I'll give you the dictionary to start. So pause the video, see if you can build that. Very similar to what we just did. Awesome. So what you should have found is you would have gone total is equal to 0. Then you would have gone for genre, comma count in bookshelf.items. Print out there are this many count books in the genre section. Then total plus equal to count, and then the total at the end. So to go into Python shells again, we'll go bookshelf equals curly brackets fiction 300 comma non-fiction 200, and then mystery 150, close the brackets, done. Then we're going to go total 0. Then for genre, count in bookshelf dot items, print f, there are count books in the genre section. Total plus equal to count. And now I can then go at the end, print f, quotation mark. If I want to do new line, you can. The total number of books library are total. Cool. So then that's another way of doing string concatenation with this f string, which is super useful. So what we're going to do now is a little bit of a challenge. There's an old sort of language called Pig Latin, sorry, which basically means that you change the way that the things sound. So when the word begins with a consonant, you remove all the letters before the first vowel and place the letters at the end of the word. So add a. So book becomes ook, bay. When the words begin with a vowel, you pronounce the words normally, so then you add yay at the end of the word. So a and way are common alternatives as well. So apple becomes apple yay. So book becomes ook bay, and then apple becomes apple yay. So what we're going to do is get you to change the first section of Pig Latin. So it's not all of it. So you only just this part. So Pig Latin is a language game where you remove the first letter at the end and add an A. So for example, Python becomes Python pay. Sorry, Ythan pay. A little bit tricky. Sorry, been a while since I've done it. So your task is then to create a Pig Latin dictionary, and here are the steps. So step 1, you need to create an empty dictionary called Pig Latin Dict. Step 2, then you define a list of words that you want to include in your list. So for example, you might want to use this list. So Python dictionary list, loop, and function. Step 3, you then write a function to Pig Latin that takes the word as an argument and then returns the word translated into Pig Latin. Step 4, you then want to use a loop to go through each word inside of the list and translate it into Pig Latin using your function, then add it into your dictionary. So the original word should be the key, and then the Pig Latin should be stored as the value. Then at the end, you want to print out your dictionary to see the English to Pig Latin translations. So pause the video, see if you can build each one of those steps. I've tried to make it really clear step by step what needs to happen. So good luck. Let me know how you go. Awesome. So hopefully you had a good crack at that. So to start, what happens is you need to go through at the beginning and create the empty dictionary. So Pig Latin dictionary is empty. The next step then is you want to set up the words. So words is equal to the list that we had. So Python dictionary list, loops, and function. Step 3 then is you want to define the new function. So def to Pig Latin with the word. And what happens here is you want to return the word with the head chopped off, with the word added on at the end. So the last word done at the back, and then A at the top, which is kind of cool. So then the next step then is you want to then go through each of those the words inside the dictionary, and then you want to go through and apply the dictionary to build the new word. So this is where it gets a little bit confusing here. So we're going for word and words. So that goes through every single part in the dictionary. And then what happens is we access the dictionary with the word that we've just pulled out. So it would start with Python. And then it equals to the function call of that word. So it's going to go into that function, execute this bit of code, chop off the front letter, and then jam it on the end with an A at the end. And then step 5, you would then print out the Pig Latin dictionary. So just to show you how that actually looks, let's build it together. File new. So we're going to go Pig Latin dict equals curly brackets. Then going to go the words that we want to use. These are going to have a couple of different words. So Python, dictionary, list, loop, and function. Done. So then we're going to define the function that's going to change the word into the Pig Latin version. So to Pig Latin, the word that we're going to input, thank you, bye, and then we're going to return the word with the head chopped off, so the first letter, that gets returned, plus the word at the front, plus A. So that should change it all. Then we're going to go through each word. So for word in words, it's going to unpackage every single thing in that list. The Pig Latin Dictionary at word, because we're going to build that new word, is now equal to the 2 Pig Latin of word. So that's going to convert the word into Pig Latin and then store it straight away in the dictionary as a value, which is pretty cool. So that's done, and then we want to print out the Pig Latin. All this Pig Latin, and then let's run it and see what happens. Oh, so Python became Python Pay, dictionary became Dictionary Day, list becomes Islay, loop becomes Uplay, and then functions became Unctions Fay. Pretty cool. Now that's only if you use the consonant. There is the other section where you have to use a vowel. Yeah, we'd probably want you to have a crack at that for homework. So how do you explain Python Dictionary to a friend who doesn't know programming? That's one of the things you need to ask. Can you think of a real life situation when dictionaries might be more useful than a list? Then how might the skills learned today be applied in the future? That's pretty much it for me. There is a Kahoot that's attached. Also, there is a homework sheet. I'd recommend having a go and trying to do the other side of the Pig Latin and see if you can handle vowels as well. And then maybe even hyphenated words and see how that all sort of comes together. So hopefully you've learned something along the way there. I've tried to make sure that that's somewhat fun. Yeah, dictionaries are really useful. They're awesome data structure, and I'd highly recommend trying to get your head around them. The more you play around with them, the more you'll find there's some really unique things, and particularly if you lean into machine learning, there's a lot inside that you'll need to know. That's it for me. If you've enjoyed this video, please give us a like and subscribe down below, as it does help with the YouTube algorithm. And yeah, see you next time. Thank you again. See you again from Steve. Steam it with Steve. Adios.